I want you to consider the idea of driving a car. Now consider that it's a car without a steering wheel. What could you do in that car? Perhaps you can go forward a little bit, maybe even put it in reverse, go backwards. At some point, you're probably going to get stopped, aren't you? You probably run into something without that steering wheel to ultimately get you to your destination. You're going to have a fair amount of difficulty actually getting from here to there, aren't you? Now take that analogy and consider our own lives and what we are like or where we are at without a clear why of what we are doing day to day and why we're doing it. Why do we do what we do? Why do you spend the time during your day doing what you do? I would imagine that some of you listening to this have a full-time job, and you might say to yourself, well, I do it to pay the bills. And maybe you do it so that you can get some sense of meaning. Maybe you spend a lot of time getting a degree to do the work that you do. So I've sacrificed this amount of time, so I should probably work in this field. And maybe you do it because society says, well, that's what you do. You get a job and you work for somebody for 40 years and you get the benefit package, and you ride off into the golden sunset and life is beautiful after that. Consider for yourself why you do what you do. We have a problem in our society where dreams have been squashed. People ultimately just are doing things because it's expected, because I need to, because I feel compelled or pushed to do it. There may be any number of reasons why you do what you do, but is it inspired? Are you doing it because you are inspired in what you're doing? The challenge that we have with this idea of dreams being squashed is, how do we wake those up? I'm passionate about helping people identify why they're doing what they're doing, and particularly in the context of doTERRA. Why does this matter to you? Why are you willing to sacrifice? Why will it make a difference in your life? And I've ultimately had the privilege of working with many people over the last few years on this specific topic and helping them to unearth or dig deep enough that they can get clear within themselves as to what is ultimately inside of me that is going to help me move forward and create the new reality that I want to create. What is going to allow me to dream again, to see possibilities that I'm not seeing on my current path? If I continue doing what I'm doing, where am I going to be in a year, 3 years, 5 years from now? And considering, well, what do you want? What do you want it to look like? What can that be for you personally? And if you are living this way, where you are following inspiration and living your dreams, how much more are you going to be able to help other people do the same thing? And then it starts to get really exciting, right? Now we need to ask ourselves, what is it that moves us? There's a book called Start With Why that brings up a concept that has been very profound to me, and that is this. Are we driven by inspiration, or are we driven by some form of manipulation? And what I mean by that is, are we driven by something that's inside of us and is internal, or are we driven by something that manipulates us or is ultimately outside of us? Is the power within us to create that new reality, or does something out here need to happen first for us to be able to be successful? Are we waiting on that thing to happen, that opportunity to come, that person to do that thing? And I would propose to you that the real power in our why comes in understanding that our creation and what we are projecting into our external reality is coming ultimately from inside of us first and foremost. And once we realize that, it can be very empowering. It can be very exciting to consider, well, what can I do with that power? And the reality is you're using it right now. In the results that you're getting in your life, that's come about because of certain beliefs, ideas that you have adopted and latched onto. It's as simple as that. You would say, well, why am I having the current experiences I've had? Well, at some level, you have adopted beliefs or reference point that has projected this is the reality that will be created. And then things have come to pass that have made that true. And so I would invite you to consider what really matters to you. And I know some spouses will say, well, I'm going to be a good support for my wife, and I'm going to help her to do what she wants. Well, what if you combined your dream? What if you shared a dream? What if you co-created in something? Now, how powerful will that be for your relationship? What a gift it has been for my wife and I to be able to step into that reality. And this is what's available to you through doTERRA. To truly dig within yourself and say, why does this matter to me? Or why could this matter to me? And look out into your future and say, what is the reality that we want to create? And paint a picture of your life. And take the time to crystallize that, so if you share that with me, or you share that with somebody that you're working with, that they can see it in their mind's eye. And it's not about, well, I want to pay the bills, or I want to get out of debt, or these things that ultimately are lower vibration, lower energy. We want to say, what really is going to excite you? What really is going to move you forward? What kind of things can be happening in your life if you create this new reality of time, freedom, and possibility? But you must understand that this is a process, and we've got to kind of dig. We got to dig past the layers. So we look at it once, then we look at it again. Why does this matter? Why does this matter to me? What difference is this going to make in my life? How can my reality be transformed with this? And as we go about that process and invest that time, and that's the real challenge, because life just happens, one day bleeds into the next, and we don't take the time, do we? We don't take the time to fully explore what's inside of us, what moves us, what's going to create that new reality. Well, a word of caution. There's a part of us that is going to say, just stay comfortable. The status quo is good enough. I know what is, and so I'll just stick with that. And it will cause this resistance, these excuses to build up. And you'll know whether or not your why is clear enough, because your excuses ultimately will fade. So if you find excuses popping up, hindering you, thwarting you, stopping you, then you would have to say, I get to dig deeper into my why. I get to dig deep enough so that it gets rooted internally inside of me and becomes this fire that other people see me and what I'm doing and what I'm about, that they want to be a part of what I'm doing, this cause, this movement, because they know that by sharing in that with me, that they in turn can enjoy the same gift in their life where things can open up for them. This is an amazing opportunity. But at the root of it is understanding ourselves, understanding who we are, what moves us, and why we want to create a new reality. And then through that, our cup fills up and we can help other people with that same gift. This is a life of meaning. This is a life of purpose and fulfillment, where you can become self-actualized and you can help others to become self-actualized. And liberate yourself, liberate others, and be the example to your families and loved ones that you truly want to be. I invite you to take the time to identify your why, to pay the price, and do what you need to do so that you can get more clear within yourself and enjoy the benefits of latching on to those wild horses that are ready to move in your favor.